everyone, I'm Stephanie Newton, and I make videos such as this one on YouTube about homeopathy, nutrition, and other holistic modalities and just holistic life in general. And today is another episode of Holistic Life Unscripted, and this is basically about me, my life, what's going on in my business with my kids, etc. First, I want to tell you guys that in my business, I had a cool response today to a homeopathic remedy called nitric acid, not today, but this week, for a child, and the mom reported less outbursts. So we're just at the beginning of this case. We'll see which way this one is going. So that's one positive from my homeopathy practice. And I do practice homeopathy from here in my home. I live in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I see clients from all over the world on video chat. Another thing I want to update you guys about, and I talked about this on the video that I recently recorded, so I'm going to link to that now because I talked about my son's alternative orthodontic journey. We were at the sort of the beginning of that journey at the time that I recorded that video, and we're now more than 6 months into it, and I'm starting to see what I believe to be some really good gains, not just physically in the mouth. So I want to get into that. So I was debating, almost everything I do is alternative, and I have a lot of, clients who do tons of alternative stuff, and some of them were ahead of me with orthodontics and things like that. So I picked a lot of brains, and I had heard a lot about traditional orthodontics, whether it be an expander or braces, can set kids back in various ways that can be physically, emotionally, or cognitively. And since my younger son, has a history of some cognitive problems, I did not want to further exacerbate that. So it made me scared. And so I started to research. One of the things that I looked into is called the ALF device. But there was not a practitioner near me who was doing them and I didn't want to do it without having a recommendation from somebody that I knew. It's not something I just wanted to walk in off the street and have any random person do this alternative thing that most people have not done. But the ALF device is great because it's like an expander, except that it happens very, very slow. It allows the mouth to adjust. It allows the cranial bones to adjust, and it's not such a shock to the body. So I decided not to do that one. I also looked into the Healthy Start device and the Myobrace. And then there's also traditional expander. I had an ALF practitioner who was not able to see my son recommend that I do traditional, but do it slow. So I called around to traditional orthodontists. I found a group that said, yes, we are willing to let you do it slow. So basically, with a traditional expander, they put it in your mouth. They're expanding the palate and the jawline to make room for teeth that are not coming through, among other things. And you put this, so those of you who have done this, you put this device in the mouth and you like a key in the mouth and you turn it. So every day you, the mom, are expanding the palate with a turn of the key every day. Now, some people will actually do it twice a day. To me, that's insane. Our practitioner preferred once a day, but having gotten the recommendation from an alternative practitioner, I did it every 3 or 4 days. And actually, sometimes we went a little bit longer than that because he lives at his dad's house as well. And sometimes I didn't keep up with it. But we expanded slow. He had very little pain. I used arnica, by the way, arnica homeopathic remedy, and hypericum, and he never needed ibuprofen. He had very little pain. I would give him the arnica like right before expansion, and actually, before turning the key. And actually, I noticed that after like the first 2, I didn't even need to give that to him. His mouth just adjusted well, probably because I was going so slow. But before I did the traditional expander, he had to quit sucking his thumb. Okay. And I also wanted to just play with something else. So I did see a dentist who uses the Healthy Start device. Again, this is one of these alternative appliances. So your teeth go in here. Your teeth go in these grooves. I don't know if you guys can see this. If you have a bottom jawline that tends to fall back while you're sleeping, it pulls it forward. so that your teeth, your top and bottom teeth are lining up together. And then it has this shelf where you put your tongue. A lot of the problems with the children and the people who have a narrow palate, it's partially because they suck their thumb, or it could be that they have improper tongue placement in their mouth. The tongue naturally expands the palate. And if there's a kid who's like sleeping with their mouth open mouth breathing is very bad. And their tongue is like hanging all over the place, and it's not at the roof of their tongue the roof of their mouth the way it should be. As they develop, their palate is not expanding properly. A narrow palate can cause a lot of problems, including sleep apnea and other problems. So this device puts that tongue up on the shelf so that when they sleep with this device, their teeth are in line, the tongue is on the top, all is well. And also this keeps the jaw from falling backward and for sleep apnea to develop. So I had my son wear this first at night to take the place of thumb sucking. And I will say and now he was 11 when he quit sucking his thumb. This is something he had all his life. He had his thumb and I was taking it away. And so the first day or two were quite dramatic. There were tears. There was even a panic attack, which I didn't quite understand, but I guess, after being with your thumb your whole life and knowing that you have to give it up. And it wasn't that he was fighting me. He knew he had to do this. He knew it was time. He knew it had gone on too long, and he knew it was causing orthodontic problems. It was just the fact that he had to do it. He was really struggling with it. So anyway, he wore this. He did great. He quit sucking his thumb. I never saw him put his thumb in his mouth again. And I knew that he needed to organically quit before putting the expander in his mouth, because putting the expander in his mouth, yeah, sure, it's going to keep him from sucking his thumb. It covers the roof of the mouth. You cannot suck your thumb with an expander in. But what happens when the expander comes out? There are kids that go back to sucking their thumb. So I knew it needed to be an organic process that he was on board with, and I had to do something to help him break the habit. And this really did help. I might have him go back to this device after after we're done with the orthodontics and the braces. He now has braces, because he's still sleeping with his mouth open occasionally, not as much as he used to. So that's great. And I'm not noticing as much sleep disordered breathing, which can have huge problems during the day. So my son is definitely sleeping better. But here's the thing. 3 things happened in March that are right after I recorded that video talking about how we're about to do this orthodontic thing, and we're about to do the SSP, which is the Safe and Sound Protocol, which I'm about to talk about next. Right after I recorded that video, we went on shutdown. Okay, that was March 2020. This is about 7 months ago now. It's now October 2020. And 4 things happened, if I can remember all of them. So we started the expansion. Well, yeah, we were in the process of the expansion. We did the Safe and Sound Protocol. He was sent home from school and was now homeschooling. And I was doing most of the teaching because he was still in elementary school and they didn't have video teaching. It was basically all me. I feel like there was a 4th one and I can't think of what it is, but like 4 things changed in his life. And what I noticed is he was getting less colds and allergy attacks, less wheezing, because before he would get a cold very easily at school. Then he would come home wheezing a little bit, nothing major, but it would be enough that like, okay, that's annoying. Like how healthy and how can you learn when you're wheezing in school, even though he had like a nebulizer there, but they didn't want to use it unless he was having a true asthma attack. He was getting more sleep, less running around. These kids, they're in basketball, they're in this and that, they're running around, they're running ragged. And I had been wanting to homeschool him for 3 years, knowing that he would do better at home, at least for a period of time, so that some of these physical, like frequent colds and things could go away, so that he would be sleeping better at night and therefore learning better during the day. So the interesting thing is that like everything that was left in my son that I wanted to resolve went away in March. Okay. All of it. So he was very behind in all subjects except for math in school. Like every report card showed behind grade level. I think he was a year behind in reading. He still had some like emotional outbursts, not so bad, not like in the past when he had, some neuropsychiatric issues. He was sleeping very poorly, mouth open, snoring, constantly waking up. And that, I think, led to like daytime drowsiness, not able to learn, etc. And so what happened in March with all of these changes, all of a sudden he's sleeping better. He's happier because he never liked school. He's healthy all the time. We did the expander, which, and this I didn't mention before, some of these alternative devices are known to change children on emotional and mental levels, because the problem with the jaw being too narrow has shown clinically to affect children, affect their mental and emotional health. So by expanding the palate, a lot of these problems change. And even my traditional orthodontist said that he has had reports of that frequently from the moms. So, we had that going on, and then we had the safe and sound protocol going on. So I don't know which of these things helped everything to come together for my son, but he is now in middle school. He's in all advanced classes and getting all A's and B's. Like, he went from behind grade level, getting pulled out for special reading and all this stuff, to like, he's in all advanced classes doing great. We're talking 7 months. Okay. Like, what? So miracle, Now, it also could be the SSP, the Safe and Sound Protocol. That's a listening program. I'll put a picture of it here. You wear headphones and you're listening to like an iPod, and you're listening to music that is specially formulated to create changes on a neurological level. It's too hard for me to explain, but it's been known to help people with learning disabilities, mental and emotional problems like outbursts and things like that. And I mean, a lot of things. Like, it has been known to help so many things. And it sounds so weird, but I do practice homeopathy. And so I see a lot of clients all week long who are constantly telling me all the other alternative modalities that they're doing. And this is just one of those things that I just kept hearing. SSP, Safe and Sound Protocol. It's been amazing. It's done this and we've done that. And when you hear it over and over again, you're like, okay, maybe I should be looking into this. And I actually happen to have had a colleague who practices this. So I contacted her and she was able to get us established with this. I also did the SSP, the Safe and Sound Protocol, the listening thing. And what I noticed, and this also was in March, so it's hard for me to know what it did. But what I noticed is I found myself going out in public. There was only like 3 days left before the shutdown. Every time I went out in public, I found myself just like so open to talking to strangers. Like, there was no inhibition. There was no like, should I talk to that person? Because like, I don't know, they look like they're a little grumpy. They might not like me. They might not like what I'm about to say. Maybe that joke was a little too off color. I don't know. Like, you're thinking and you're analyzing everything you're going to say. There was none of that. I just would like talk to somebody. So like, think of the most like outgoing person in the room. That was me. And I was like, what is going on? Because obviously I'm talking on YouTube. I'm not completely like, a social, I don't have social anxiety or anything like that, but I'm not an extrovert. I may look like it. I may sound like it. I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert. I like to generally keep to myself. I like to go out and socialize for a short period of time and then go back home to my safe little place and just collect my energy again. So that was a little bit strange. I still don't think I'm an extrovert because I still love to be home. I have no problem being alone. I can be alone with my own thoughts. I'm fine with that. But I found that to be interesting. Now, we've been like, the country's sort of shut down. Everybody's got masks on. So I'm not going out talking to people anymore. So I literally only had 3 days to see that change and find that very interesting. I even went up to a guy, like, I'm single. I even went up to a guy who I thought was cute in Home Depot and just started blah, 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 blah. Like, who am I? Like, what? I still haven't called him. But anyway, yeah. So That has been interesting. That was all those changes in March. My son is doing like crazy amazing. I'm blown. My mind is blown. I'm going to put links below to two free products that I have. One is a free intro to homeopathy Q&A session that I'm, at the time of this recording, I'm doing about every 5 or 6 weeks. You're welcome to sign up for that. And that is a live Zoom chat between myself and several other people who are just interested in finding out more about homeopathy. And another is my free ebook, How to Use Homeopathy in Your Home. That link will be down there below as well. And if you're interested in using homeopathy in your home, I really suggest that book because it is very life-changing. You will find yourself being able to get on top of little acute things that you normally have to run to the doctor for. It'll save you time and money. And you will also be introduced to the power of homeopathy, which I can promise you is pretty powerful. All right, so that's it for this episode of Holistic Life Unscripted. Maybe the next episode I'll go out into my house and just show you around some things that I have going on. All right, goodbye, everyone.